Okay, so today we're going to continue our review of Quarter 1 test. And as you know, if you want the classwork grade for today, I need to see all of your notes. That's all of your notes. And while I write the header for our notes that are going to be put online, I'm going to give you guys a bell work question to work on. So write the question down on your notes and answer the question. We'll review the answer in just a minute, okay? But everybody write this down and make your best attempt. It's a proportion, so you're going to be cross-multiplying. Okay, so I'll give you that hint, and this is the exact problem we did yesterday in class. It's one of the exact problems we did. No. No, you're going for your notes from yesterday. Okay, so I need everybody to write the question down, because I'm going to be writing over this here in a second. Write the question down. Yes, Cedro. Huh? Why?
You can't see back there. You're going to have to raise it up. That ain't good. Raise it.
So everybody just write the question down and then start working on the question. And then we'll review it. It's one of the ones we did from yesterday. Does everybody have this written down?
Yes.
Okay. There's no talking while you're doing this. Okay, so today we're going to be graphing linear equations using point slope form, slope intercept form, and general form, also determining any x and y intercepts. They'll work for today. This is a proportion. So this is a proportion.
And sometimes they can read, you don't have to zoom in.
And we're going to cross multiply, okay? So from yesterday,
I was laughing. Cuz that's crazy.
so with this type of a problem, we're going to cross multiply. And we're going to clear out the denominators, okay? So the first step we want to do is what?
Cross multiply.
By,
10.
so we want to get rid of the 10 first?
Yeah.
Whatever we do to one side, we also have to do to the other side, right? Now we can get rid of the 12. So we're going to multiply this by 12.
Okay.
And we're going to multiply this side also by 12.
Okay.
The shortcut method of doing this is whatever you see in the denominator, where if you start off as 10 and 12, just you can jump right to this step here by just putting 12 over here, 10 over here, and just eliminating this process, these two steps here. If you see that, okay? If not, then just follow through with the steps. It'll always bring you to the same result. So at this point, what do we do now?
Distribute.
It's distribution. Twelve times 9.
108.
108. Okay, and now from here, what do we do now?
Put them together.
It's combined like terms. So we want to combine like terms. So minus 10x minus 10x. So we have 2x minus 108 is now equal to 20. And now we eliminate the plus 108 plus 108. Those cancel out here, those canceled out up there, and we're left with 2x is equal to 128. We divide by 2, divide by 2, x is equal to 64. Okay? So you can see that the problem can be done pretty quick. If you just look at this and jump right to this process here, if you get that, and then it's just combine like terms, and as a matter of fact, these two steps here can be done in one step, because I could have done plus 108 in the same step here. So I could have subtracted the 10x plus 108 and really done that in one step. I could have done both of those in one. So that's, always look for ways as you work through these to condense the number of steps you're doing. And of course, that'll become more apparent to you the more you practice. So x is equal to 64 is the solution. Okay, so we're going to pick up. We did quite a bit yesterday, and we're going to pick up today. And again, we are graphing linear equations. And so number 14, let's have a look at, we're going to be given, we're given 2 points, 1 and 5, comma, -1 and -3. So we're given 2 points. And we have to find the equation and we're asked to find the equation. So the problem here is find the equation. So find the linear equation. We did a lot of this early on, and what do we want to do first? Perfect. So the first step to find this linear equation when we're given 2 points is to find the slope. And you should recall that the slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's label our points x1, y1, x2, and y2. And now we're going to plug them into our formula. And so we have -3. So m is equal to -3 minus 5 over -1 minus +1. And so this is equivalent to -8 over -2. And this is equal to 4. +4. So that's our slope. And now we have to determine which form for the equation of a line we want to use. Do we want to use slope-intercept form, or do we want to use point-slope form?
Read it.
Do we want to use slope-intercept form or point-slope form? Are we given an intercept? Do we have a point? And do we have a slope? So which form do we want to use? Point-slope form. So point slope form is going to be y minus one of these points. Which point do we want to use? Always choose the one with the lower numbers and the one with the most positive numbers. So if it happens to be that there's one that has higher numbers but most of them are positive, choose the one with the more positive numbers, because negative numbers tend to introduce a lot of errors. And so I would go with this one here, even though they're a little higher. So I would just use this particular point here. So determine the form and then select your point. And it just happens to be that that's already labeled x1, y1. All right, so it's going to be, the form that we're going to use is going to be y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So we're going to plug into this, and we have y minus 5 is equal to 4 times x minus 1. So y minus 5 is equal to 4x minus 4 plus 5 plus 5. Y is equal to 4x plus 1. And that's the final result. So again, we were just trying to find the linear equation, and we have it here. So on another one here, we have to find the slope of the line. So for 15, says the instruction is to find the slope of the line. You're going to be provided with a graph, and just evenly make some tick marks along the x and y axes, evenly spaced. And of course the first one would be 1, 2, and 3. So here there's only 3 going in every direction. And I'm going to put a point right there. And I'm going to put another point. I'm going to go 5 in 5 points in either direction. Put another one there. So it says to find the slope. Well, what's our first point?
2 and 2, 2 and negative 2. Or it says supposed to be bottom one.
How did you say it? What's this particular point?
Negative 2 and 2.
Yeah, because you said 2 and negative 2. But I know what you were meaning, okay? But let's be precise, though, okay?
I'm asking about easy.
No, you're fine. But we always put the x first, okay? So, but I understood exactly what you're saying. So we're going to always put the x coordinate first, which is negative 2. And then the y coordinate is going to be positive 2. So x and y. Down here, what's this one going to be? Negative 1 and negative 5. It says to find the slope of the line. Well, what do we know from the previous question? We have our formula already for what the slope should be, right? So let's use our formula, and let's go ahead and plug these points in, and let's go ahead and label them. So this one here, I'm going to label x1, y1. I'm going to label this x2 and y2. And I'm going to use my slope formula. So the steps would be to plot the points. The points, of course, are already going to be plotted for you, but you have to determine the coordinates. So determine the coordinates of the points, and then use the slope formula. And so that's what we're going to do here. So using the slope formula, we have m is equal to minus 5 minus 2 over minus 1 minus negative 2. And in this case we have negative 7 over negative 1 plus 2, because a negative and a negative is a positive. So that's going to be negative 7 over negative 1 plus 2. And that's going to be negative 7 over 1, which is just negative 7. So our slope is negative 7. And that's the answer. So m is negative 7. And that's final. So you guys are going to have a problem just like this on your test, okay? Every problem I'm doing. And this is why I'm making your classwork grade your notes, because every single problem I'm doing with you yesterday and today, identical to the questions that are coming on your test. So if you're taking notes and following along and then studying your notes, you're going to be just fine for the test. I mean, you should probably get 100 on the test. Or at least get a B. Number 16. And so we're still going to use today and tomorrow, the full classes, as our review days. I don't see us finishing the review probably early today or tomorrow. We still have some stuff to work through. So 16. If we're given a slope, okay, so we're going to, in this one here, we're going to be given, so given, slope equal to 6, the y-intercept equal to 2. We need to find the equation, find the linear equation. Find the linear equation. So this is the information that we're being given. The question is, how are we going to find the linear equation? You have to decide on which form to use. Are you going to use point slope, or are you going to use slope intercept? Point slope or slope intercept?
Slope intercept.
That one's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So slope intercept is going to be y is equal to mx plus b. And so in this case, we have y is equal to 6x plus 2. And that's final. So pretty easy. So that's 16. Number 17. Number 17. Y is equal to negative 1/5 x plus 2. And in this one here, we need to graph the line. What do we want to do first? With what information?
Wait, ain't you supposed to take the negative away? Find a way to get you from this one being negative. We all got to. Shut up.
Yeah, that's what we have to do, is draw a graph. I'm asking you, what information do we need to draw the graph?
Negative 1/5.
Perfect. We need the slope. So we have to determine the slope. What other information do we need? Do we need intercepts? X and Y intercepts? So we have to find the X and Y intercepts. As long as we can find the X and Y intercepts, it's through any 2 points we can construct a straight line. That's Euclidean geometry. That's just basic geometry, is that to be able to construct a straight line, you just need a minimum of 2 points. Well, our x-intercept is 1 point, and our y-intercept is a second point. And so from those 2 points alone, we should be able to draw our line. So that's all we need. And so from here, what's our slope? And how do we determine what our x-intercept is? How do we determine our x-intercept? Well, what do we do? So we set y to 0. So we have 0 is equal to 1/5 x plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. It's 1/5 x. And now we're going to multiply both sides by 5. No. So x is equal to negative 10 is going to be our x-intercept. Okay, so this is our x-intercept. Now we have to find our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is found by setting x to 0. So y-intercept. Our y-intercept is we set x equal to 0 and then solve for y. So if we set x to 0, we're going to have y is equal to negative 1/5 0 plus 2. Y is equal to 2. That's our intercept. Well, we found 2 points, so now we should just be able to draw our line. And so let's go ahead and draw our graph. We have negative 10 So that's going to be our x-intercept occurs when y is equal to 0. So we have negative 10 and 0. It's always going to be a coordinate, right? There's got to be two points for a coordinate. And y is equal to 2, so our y-intercept is just equal to 0 and 2. So we have negative 10 and 0, and just put it somewhere. So negative 10 and 0, and 0 and 2. So 0 and positive 2. So 0 and positive 2. And what is our what's our slope? Change that to a positive. In the original, just go back and just change that to a positive. So y is plus 1/5 x, or just 1/5 x plus 2. It was originally written as a negative. Okay, so just go and make your change. No. So m is plus 1/5. Okay, so our slope is what? Is 1/5, and so we just connect the points. Okay. And we can see that as we go 5 over in our x value, we go up 1, and then we go another 5 over and go up another 1, and it brings us to 0 and 2. So it matches our slope. But that's all we had to do. And in fact, you actually don't even need the slope, but it's always good to put the slope down because you can use that as a check. You know, for every 5 x values, you should move 1 y value, so that if you move 10 x values, you move 2 y values. And so that brings you 10 over to the right, 2 up. So that's correct, okay? And you guys are going to have there'll be another one of those questions, okay? There's going to be 2 of those. Do you want me to do the other one? Do you want me to do the other type, or do you want to just move on? Huh?
We understand.
Is he going to be on the test? Move on.
Okay, move on? Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure everybody, you know, there'll always be somebody who will say, well, you didn't cover that with us, you know? I mean, just the way it works. So, who wants to see another one done? All right, nobody? Good.
We understand.
Does anybody want to see another one of the previous problems done? Okay. So, if we don't need to do it, then we just need to move on. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Yes. No. think it's lyric.
Who?
No.
Lyric?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, so in this one here, we're going to move on to something that's going to be a little bit more complex. So we move on to systems. And we're still working with linear equations. We're just doing it in the context of a system now. So number 19 is going to be graph the system. Okay, so solve the system by graphing. Mr. Tallis, keep your hands to yourself. Okay, solve the system by graphing. The system is Tallis, if you don't move your seat, I'm sending you to the office. You know where. You knew exactly where to go. Now, where were you for the last 20 minutes? Where were you for the last 20 minutes? Where were you for the last 20 minutes?
It wasn't 20 minutes. I was right there. I've been sitting right there all the time.
You just walked through the door.
You saw him walk. He looked at me when I walked out.
That's why I said, where were you for the last 20 minutes? You weren't in that seat.
I told you I was right there.
Okay. That's why I said you move your seat or I'm sending you to the office. Because for 20 minutes now you haven't been in the right seat. I've assigned seats and these are the seats that you'll keep unless I change them. And there's probably a couple I'm going to be changing. Still. Yes, Isidro. Okay, so this is going to be the first equation, and x is equal to 5 is going to be the second equation. So y is negative x plus 7, and x is equal to 5. So now we have to solve the system. So what do you want to do to solve the system? Substitution. So when x is equal to 5, y is equal to 2. When x equals 5, y equals 2. But we have to graph the lines, and so let's graph them. So our first equation is y is equal to negative x plus 7. What do we need to do to graph this from the previous problem? Yep, negative 5 plus 7. No, we're not using elimination, we're using substitution. Yep, those are the two. Substitution, not elimination, okay? For this one. Now, what do we know we need from the previous problem? We need what to be able to graph a line? 2 points, right? X and Y intersect. And so, there's really, we just have to find it for this one. So, So the x-intercept is going to be when y is 0. So 0, well, we could just do it right here. So 0 is going to be equal to negative x plus 7. Let's just go ahead and add x to both sides. So we have x is equal to positive 7.
I can't hear you.
So to determine we're going to determine our x-intercept by setting y to 0. And when we do, we find that x is equal to 7. So this will be for our y-intercept. Now we need to determine that's our x-intercept, sorry. And now we need to determine our y-intercept, and that's going to be when x is 0, and so y is equal to negative 0 plus 7, of course, is just 7. So y is equal to 7 is going to be that. So we have our 2 points now. We have 0 and 7 as our coordinate for our y-intercept. And we have 7 and 0 for our x-intercept. And so we're going to plot these 2 points. Yes, Joshua? Huh? Where? Below here? Yes. So 7 and 0. And 0 and 7. And now we can construct a line through these. And we have to graph our other line as well. Yes. So this is also a line. It's a vertical line that occurs when x is equal to 5. And so if this is going to be the equation here, y is equal to negative x plus 7. And now we need to graph x is equal to 5. And so if we do that, then we have x equals 5. And so this is just a vertical line. It's a vertical line. And it passes through the point five and 0. Our intersection, of course, is here. Our point of intersection is there. And that point, we already know, happens when x is 5, y is 2. It's our point of intersection. And so this is just 5 and 2. So this is how you graph a linear system. Now, you may not always get nice, easy vertical lines, okay? And so you would just have to go through the process that we did over here 2 different times, one for each of the lines. And there's another one of these types of questions on the test, okay? So there's 2 of these types. But we're going to move on to solving linear systems by substitution. So number 21. Solve the system by substitution. And we'll complete this problem for today, okay? We're going to complete this problem for today, and so 21. (8x minus 8y is equal to -8), and we're going to substitute. Now, do you think we want to substitute this one into the bottom one? The top into the bottom? Yep. This is already set up for us to just do a direct substitution. Okay, so we're going to do a direct substitution. Direct substitution. And of course, we want to do distribution. And that's going to be 8x minus 8 times 7 is 56. And that's -8. We're going to combine like terms. And then solve for x. So 8x minus 24x is minus 16x plus 56 equals -8. And so we're going to subtract 56 from both sides. And we're at minus 16x is equal to -64. Divide by -16, divide by -16. And we're at x is equal to +4. X is equal to +4. For our system, what's the answer for our system? What are we looking for? When x is 5, y is 2, what is it that we're looking for from the top one? It's the point of intersection of the two lines. And so where does the point of intersection occur for this system if we were to graph it? Well, we have to plug x in now to the top equation and solve for y. So solve for y. So solve for y to determine the point of intersection. And so if we solve for y, we have y is equal to 3 times 4 minus 7, which is 12 minus 7, which is just 5. So when x is 4, y is 5, the point of intersection of these two lines, if we were to graph them, would occur at the coordinate, the point of intersection is at 4 and positive 5. Okay, so the point of intersection occurs at 4 and positive 5. And that would be the final answer. Okay, any questions, guys? We're going to stop here for today.